Hello and welcome everyone to a brand new episode of the Little Me podcast. You guys know the drill. We're back. My name is Dino and I'm joined as always by my good friend Tristan. Tristan, how are you on this? I think sunny for you as well, as usual.
Oh
Sunny
yeah,
Saturday morning.
typical sunny Saturday Florida morning.
Mhm.
It's good. It's humid. It's hot as shit. I was out west this week where I was like freezing because it was 60 like 5 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't know
Mhm.
the the rate for you what that means, but
For sure.
um, it's very nice weather that I'm just so used to hot, muggy asshole weather that I was literally like freezing because there was no humidity. But
That's crazy to hear someone was freezing in LA because usually as a foreigner, I think LA always you think of it like as like sunny and warm. I guess
yeah,
if you're used to Florida weather, it's definitely colder.
I think if you were out there, then you would be like, "Wow, this is such perfect." And it is perfect weather. I just didn't dress accordingly for it. Like I
Yeah.
had short sleeves on, but everyone had short sleeves on, but I could not have personally.
Mhm. Yep.
You'll die whenever you come to Florida. You will probably cease to exist, though. I don't know if Europe has any places that are quite humid like the U.S. South.
So where I live, it's like pretty humid, but like it's already unbearable if it's humid. I cannot handle humid heat at all. So I'd
Hmm.
definitely die in Florida, but yeah,
Hey, that
we're
sounds like
thriving.
a good like country album or something. Like I just died in Florida. Um, but yeah, it's good. It's good to be back. We took a little 2 week break, but we're here to talk about the new Ryan Gosling film,
Yeah,
Dino's
we're
favorite film of the century, The Fall Guy.
for sure. We're taking like a little jump back into the future because of this new film and our Ryan Gosling marathon. So a little break from going into the past with the Fall Guy, of course, which we'll talk about in a second. But we have some news and a couple of film news. But before we go into the film news, we have some news about our podcast, which was probably one of the funniest emails I've received in my life because we received an email to our podcast email, and from this thing like pod status where I like upload our podcast, and it usually like updates us on this many people listen to your podcast this week, or like, oh, congratulations, you released your 50th episode, things like that. So I don't usually check them out anymore because it's just like I don't care about the statistics that much, to be honest, because we just do this for fun. But the title of this email really piqued my interest, and that is because our podcast ranked at number 123 podcasts in the category TV and film in Algeria.
What?
In Algeria,
Hell yeah, let's ride.
which I didn't even know we had listeners in Algeria. Shout out to all you guys, but yeah, place 123 in Algeria. I don't know how that happened,
Shout,
but that's awesome.
shout out to all my guys in Algeria. Um, is that Northern Africa? Where in Africa is Algeria? I'm assuming it's close to Algiers.
I think it's northern,
Or is Algiers
northeastern.
in Algeria? It looks fucking nice. It looks like Morocco type of vibe.
It's
Oh
a
yeah,
beautiful country.
Algiers. Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Algiers is in Algeria, obviously. That makes
They also
sense.
have like a great. It's called like Algerian sauce,
Oh
which
really?
it's so good. Like you're gonna try it. We usually buy it in France.
Okay.
They have it because there are a lot of Algerian people in France, and that sauce is just one of the best condiments that exists, honestly. So
What do you put it on? You put it on a hot dog or something?
put it on
Or a
everything. I think
bratwurst?
Heinz makes them, so you can definitely like put them on
Oh,
like
fuck.
traditionally. It's I don't know what's in it. It's like onions and vegetables, whatever. But it's amazing. You put it on
Interesting. Yeah,
pizza.
they
Was
wow. Yeah,
amazing.
they don't sell it in the States at all. Um,
We'll try it. We'll try it when you come
yeah.
here.
I can order it on Amazon though, or eBay and have it sent
Yeah.
here.
How
But I'm
much
gonna
is it?
try it over there. I'm gonna try it over there. Let's see. On eBay, it is only $10.
I mean, that's for like a small bottle. That's pretty much, but It's a lot.
Yeah, but also I didn't know if it was going to be like an import thing where it's like, hey, you want this shit, you're gonna have to pay like $60 for a bottle
Yeah,
of Algerian sauce. I'll take $10 for I
yeah.
don't even know what size this is. It looks normal, like a I would probably pay maybe $4, $5 for like a ketchup that size. So
That's not too bad
Algerian,
though.
I'll take it
Oh
for
yeah.
the
Yeah,
novelty.
that
But
was,
anyway, shout out to all my Algerians out there. Love you guys.
they're out there supporting us, man. 123, like that's in TV
That's
and
not
film.
bad.
That's pretty great. But yeah, that was just something funny I saw. And then we have a couple of film news, and I think you also have something that you wanted to discuss. So do you want to go first? I have like two
Yeah,
news stories.
mine's real quick, I guess, and it's because we didn't end up talking last week when it kind of was a little bit more fresh, but the first Megalopolis teaser dropped,
Oh yeah, yep.
and I know you're not like a trailer guy, but did you
Mhm.
watch the teaser at
I
all,
did.
or you did? What
I
were your
watched
thoughts
it.
on it?
I liked it a lot. I like that it doesn't like give away anything like at all. It's just Adam Driver on a rooftop, just looking down, walking over the edge. And I think it's a great teaser just to give a little feeling. And I know approximately what it's about, but also not really. I know all the like drama that happened, like no one was wanted to fund this film, which is crazy, like no one wanting to
Hmm.
fund a Francis Ford Coppola film. But I think he found like a French company, like a French distribution company, I think, that is paying for it. It's wild how a man so iconic who made so many just iconic and influential films is struggling to make a very personal film dedicated to his late wife who died
Hmm.
a couple of weeks ago. He said like that this is for her. I think it was even like her birthday. That's why
Recently,
he released
yeah.
the teaser. But it looks incredible. What are your thoughts on it?
I'm super excited for it. And that's the thing. I really haven't even seen many, if any, of Francis's films outside of the '70s. To be completely honest,
Mhm.
because I've never even seen The Outsiders
When was his last
before.
film?
I think it was like 2006. I think it was that movie Twixt. I could be wrong. Let me double check that real quick. But I feel like that movie Twixt that had like either Dakota Fanning or what's Elle Fanning, one of the
I
two.
think it was Dakota.
Uh, let's see. Let's see this man's filmography. Oh no, that was okay. So it was Twixt, but that was in 2011. Yeah,
Okay.
it was Val Kilmer, Bruce Dern, Elle Fanning, and Ben Chaplin.
So was
Um,
Elfan. Okay.
yeah, 2011. Um, and
It's
the
almost
last Godfather film or I'm not Godfather, the last Coppola film that
mhm.
I have seen, like in order, would be Apocalypse Now, '79. I've never seen any of the other films from the '80s or '90s or
Damn.
2000s.
Well, he hasn't really made a lot. Has he made a lot in the 80s? I'm not really sure.
Oh, the '80s, he was working pretty constantly. He did like The Outsiders and Rumblefish in the same year. He
Mhm.
did Peggy Sue Got Married. He did One from the Heart. He did a movie called The
Oh
Cotton
yeah.
Club, which I'm not as familiar with. Um, a movie called Tucker, The Man in His Dreams, which was like with Jeff Bridges playing like some kind of inventor.
Mhm.
Um, and then a movie called Gardens of Stone that I'm also not familiar with, but it had James Caan and Angelica Houston
I
in
haven't
it.
seen any of these. Damn. I mean, I've only seen four Francis Ford Coppola films. I need to watch more of his stuff, especially like his 80s stuff, because like looking at it now, like he made a lot.
Oh yeah, and I know a lot of people. It's like a love hate thing with Bram Stoker's Dracula. I've never seen it, and I'm actually very curious to watch it.
I
Honestly,
watched it last year. Last
did you
October, I
did
watched.
you did you enjoy it?
I liked it. I liked it.
I'm
It
gonna check
was
that shit
definitely
out.
a yeah. I
But
mean, Gary Oldman, like his performance really like makes it shine. But I think it was like very stylish and cool, and I like this like version of Dracula, which is like very, I think, very faithful to the book, to the original. So
okay,
yeah, I thought it was great.
I so to continue with that. there's a link that one of my pals sent to me um, in regards to Francis screened the film to some distributors. Did you
Mhm.
hear about this? Last week, he screened it to some distributors to try to get some distribution. And there
Yeah.
are 5 quotes from various people from major distributors that I would like to share here
Okay.
today on the pod that are interesting.
Mhm.
So these are now published different reactions to the film from distributors. The first one saying, quote unquote, there is just simply no way to position this movie. Nice and easy, negative
Mhm.
quote right off the bat. Next quote is everyone is rooting for Francis and feels nostalgic, but there's also the business side of things. The third quote, I find it hard to believe any distributor would put up cash money and stay in first position to recoup the print and advertising as well as any distribution fees. The fourth quote being, how do you define commercial? You look at a movie like Blade Runner and it becomes so much more commercial, and it became so much more commercial than on an opening weekend. So I guess that was maybe a little supportive in a way. I don't actually quite
Yeah.
even understand what that quote is saying, but really it's leading up to this last quote, which is quite the dagger to the heart. It's so not good, and it's so sad watching it, and it was so sad watching it. Anybody who puts P&A behind it, you are going to lose money. This is not how Coppola should end his directing career.
Damn.
It doesn't say who said what, but all of
Yeah.
those did come from the major distributors. And that last one, let me rephrase. Let me not rephrase, but repeat it. It's not that they said it's not so good. They said it's so not good.
Damn. That's heartbreaking, honestly.
Yeah, it's.
Who
But
knows? Who
who
knows?
knows?
Maybe honestly, like I'm not listening to them, but maybe it could be a masterpiece. And like it could
Who
be a
knows?
film that is like so out there and so personal and so new and different that I'm assuming more like business oriented people. I'm like, we cannot market this. And I mean, like, there are other films that really struggled where people said, like, this will not do well, this is not marketable. And they turned out to be like these art house classics. So who knows?
Like the
I mean,
Blade, I think like the Blade Runner example that
yeah.
one distributor said. Yeah,
Mhm. Because it was
but
like different and like slow and things like that. So I think this film was also like 2 hours and 30, or was it
this
even
one,
longer?
Megalopolis, I think might
Yeah.
even be
How long
longer.
is
Let me see.
Megalopolis?
Let's see. Um, and the thing that I want to add on to it as well
Hmm.
is that um, what Francis is also looking for. Oh no, it's only at 2 hours and 18. That's not bad at all. That's if I'm not mistaken, that's shorter than the fucking Fall Guy.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
um,
We'll get into that.
yeah, we'll get into
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Oh no, the Fall Guy is just a little bit shorter. Okay, I just had to double check that. Um,
Felt longer.
it, but the thing that Francis is trying to do though is that he wants a big major studio distribution backing. Like he wants that. He wants it on the biggest scale. But he could get like an independent, even like an A20. I could not imagine A24 or a Neon passing up on
No.
this fucking insane movie because they would know how to market it. But I think Francis doesn't want that. I think Francis literally is like, I want like a fucking Warner Brothers. Like I want
Yeah.
the biggest distributors like on the face of the planet putting this shit out.
What did he get? Like that? What they're called? He got like this French distributor, American Zoetrope.
Um, oh, that's his company, American Zoetrope.
Oh, that's his company. What was the? I heard like he got some French distributor.
Um, let's see. Near with Le Pacte,
Never,
Pact.
never heard of them.
I'm assuming that would translate to like the pact, like the
Yeah.
agreement.
Hmm. But it's crazy
Um,
because like he
yeah,
fully funded this film with like his what is it, wine company, like
yeah.
whiskey.
The man is rich as shit. He has huge vineyards. Hold on, keep talking.
Okay, so I think Tristan has a wine bottle which he will show at least me in a second. So yep, it's bringing one. So you have
Francis
one.
Ford Coppola director's cut.
Damn. Have you ever like tried it or is it? like a new bottle,
This
or
one in particular, I've not tried. I've actually had this for like probably 4 years now, and it's been
a
what a year,
special occasion.
2018, and I probably got it in 2019. So 5 years.
So we'll
Um,
pop that bottle after we make your first feature film.
yes. So he has a ton. I mean, it's a super well known um like vineyard, like wine company. They're
Mhm.
out in California.
Yeah, and he has a
Um,
restaurant as well, I think in New York.
oh, does
So
he? I didn't know that.
I think so. Like he definitely has a restaurant,
The
and
man,
like
the man is a good businessman. At the end of the day,
sure.
he's a good businessman, just not when it comes to filmmaking.
But like he funded it himself with like his wine business and things like that. So
Yeah,
it's impressive just
he's
by
rich as
itself.
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm very, very curious about this film. I think it looks very interesting. It sounds like very unique and very artsy. So I cannot wait. Like even with these bad reviews, like bad like things said about it, I'm still excited. I cannot wait to see what he makes. If this will be his final film as magnum opus, I guess we have to see.
Hmm. We'll see. But there
We'll
is, I
see.
mean, on Wikipedia, there's another film that's like says to be announced after Megalopolis, a movie called The
Oh,
Glimpses of the Moon.
so it might not be his last one.
So we'll see. I mean, this seems like this should be the one, but we'll see. We'll
We'll
see.
see.
What's your film news that you had?
So last episode we talked about a little franchise, and that is The Exorcist, and they're making a new one directed by Mike Flanagan. He's in talks. I don't think it's confirmed yet.
That's
He's
right.
gonna make a new one, but I think it's like
Did we
yeah,
not
it's
talk about this, or did we talk about this off the pod together?
we talked about it off the pod,
Okay, when we were
but not
talking
on the
work
pod. So yeah,
stuff.
Blumhouse
Okay.
is making a new film in like tied to like the original Exorcist franchise, not one of those Pope Exorcist, whatever, but in the franchise. And Mike Flanagan is honestly a perfect choice for this. And I mean, we talked about you've seen like some of his stuff, and what do you think about? Maybe you can recap just your thoughts on here.
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, I think The Exorcist should probably just be left alone, but I do like that Mike Flanagan is hopping on board. I think he's a solid director. I've really only seen I've seen two of his movies and I've seen two of his series.
Mhm.
Um, Doctor Sleep, I could give or take. Didn't really care for it. That's another one where I'm like, just there's no need. Even though Stephen King did write this sequel to The Shining, it's futile. There's no need for anyone to try to add on to what Kubrick did. There's 0 point. Which is why I feel the same thing about The Exorcist. But
Mhm.
did I talk about again on the pod or off the pod about The Exorcist 3? That was on the pod,
That
right?
was on the pod. That was on the
Okay, that's what
pod.
I thought. Fucking amazing. I may throw that shit on again today. Great movie. Um,
Mhm.
that's like maybe the only exception, but I still honestly feel like you're not going to top what Friedkin did either. Like I put Friedkin in the same esteem. Um, but Flanagan's good. I saw what's the other one? Molly's no, not Molly's Game. The one where she's tied because there's also a Jessica Chastain movie that's called Molly's Game.
Never seen either. I know there's like a film called Molly's Game, but I don't know if that's. I've seen Hush. That's the film of his I've seen, which I liked. He did Hush, right?
Um,
Yeah,
he
I think
did
so.
do Hush. Oh,
Mhm.
Gerald's Game. Gerald's Game
Barrels.
is what it's called.
Oh
Like
yeah,
some woman gets tied to her bed and then her
yeah.
husband dies. And she's stuck. It's a funny premise. I think it's also a Stephen King adaptation, I think.
There's another film
Um,
called Till Death with Megan Fox with that same premise, or like a similar premise, where a
oh,
woman gets
really?
tied to her husband and then he kills himself, and then she's like
Oh, shit.
tied to him, and like there's people coming to kill her. It's a great film. Great, great film.
Shit. I've
I
never even
liked it.
heard about it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then his series are good. Midnight Mass is solid. How Haunting of Hill House was even better. Um, so I'm here for. I will go see it. I'll see it regardless. I'm pretty much seeing everything nowadays, so I'll see it regardless. But again, I don't think it's going to touch Exorcist or Exorcist 3. So, but I don't know. It's weird that they're already rebooting it again after a failed reboot that just happened last year.
I'm not sure. Like maybe they're going in a completely different direction. I mean, there's not a lot of like news about this. It's just like Mike Flanagan is in talks to direct it. So we'll see where it goes and what they have planned, but I'm curious. And I mean, I haven't seen an Exorcist film yet. I definitely will check out the first and the third one for sure.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Um,
this is for the sequel to the one that just came out.
oh, so it is connected to like that reboot
I
thing.
think so. It says Exorcist Deceiver, which I think is what that second one was supposed to be called. Yeah, this is the same
Oh,
like Blumhouse one that they're doing now. So it's the
okay.
follow up to the Exorcist Believer, which I don't know who
Yeah.
directed it, but apparently that movie's a huge piece of shit.
Damn. Well, I'm curious, and I gotta give a shout out to Rope. I know he loves Mike Flanagan, and it's funny enough. Like, I just want to shout him out because he's probably listening to this episode in a jacuzzi,
Hmm.
which he told me this week.
Why's
So
that? Why in a
he's
jacuzzi?
he is like taking care of his parents' house and their dogs while they're away. Like,
Hell
he
yeah.
sent me a picture, like just from the view of like the jacuzzi and things like that. And he told me like he's gonna listen to an episode in the jacuzzi. So and I know he loves Mike Flanagan, so I thought about that and remembered. So yeah,
Yes, sir. Rope, what up? Um, I'm trying to get in a finished jacuzzi as well.
we
That'd
gotta
be sick.
visit it, man. That
I'm trying to get up
jacuzzi
there.
in that house is insane. The picture
Yes,
she
sir.
showed me, like, hell yeah, Rope, we're coming there. Just be
We're
prepared.
coming. Nordic region. We're coming for you. Scandinavia.
Yeah. Did you see the Northern Lights? Were they visible over there?
Florida was like the last section that was like cut off entirely. We can't see.
Damn,
We're too far south. Yeah.
damn. I didn't see them either. Apparently, they were like close to me. I've had like friends share pictures, but I didn't see any. I was awake, so maybe like not my area.
Yeah.
uh, which is sad seeing all these people share those very nice pictures. So
Insane.
we'll go to Rope, we'll see them there.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. What was the other bit of news you had?
So there's another film happening with Oscar Isaac and Kristen Stewart, and I talked about like the vampire renaissance, which is sort of like happening every like 15 to 20 years. We had it with Twilight, and before that, like in the early days, Nosferatu, Dracula. Like this like vampire trend comes every like 15, 20 years. I think we're getting another one because we have this film with Oscar Isaac and Kristen Stewart, which was just announced. We also have the Ryan Coogler, Michael B. Jordan, Haley Steinfeld, Vampire versus KKK apparently
Hmm.
film, which also sounds wild. So I cannot wait for like this vampire renaissance. And have you heard about this film? I think we talked about it on off the pod
Of
as well.
course, yeah, and let's not bury the headline here. This is not just them in a vampire movie. This is them in the new Panos Cosmatos film.
Yeah,
Director of Mandy, his follow up, or I guess his first thing since The Viewing, which was a short he did on that Cabinet of Curiosities, Guillermo del Toro Netflix show. Did you watch that? In like from
I
like
have.
2 years ago, maybe.
I've heard about it. I need to check it out.
Um, his episode in particular is unbelievable. It's so good. Um, he's just one of those filmmakers that I know when he puts something out, I'm going immediately. There's no ifs, ands, or buts because I know whether I actually end up liking it or not. I don't know,
Mhm.
but I know it will be a singular, unique vision that
Yeah,
nobody else on this planet will or can do. So
that's
very
true.
excited for Panos's next film, and I'm yeah, super stoked for that. And they just released the first image or first still image. Did you see this from the Coogler film of Michael B. Jordan?
I have not.
I saw it yesterday. It's like an on-set photo. Like it's not like a proper like you know uh, like a marketing image or anything.
Mhm.
But like a behind-the-scenes photo of him on set. He looks pretty badass.
Oh yeah, I'm not finding anything right now. I'll check it
I'll
out
see if I can
later.
find it and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Um, but yeah,
Hell yeah. Cannot wait for those. I love vampires. And Nosferatu also like coming out later this year, so we're back. Vampire movies are back.
they are back, and a lot of monster movies in general this year.
Yeah, like we said, like monster movies, they're making a lot. Frankenstein, I think there's two Frankenstein films coming out. We had Lisa Frankenstein, which came out recently, which I still haven't seen.
I just
Okay,
sent
you
it to
said
you.
perfect, perfect. But yeah, cannot wait for this monster horror
Guillermo's
renaissance.
very excited for Guillermo's. Just
Oh
to see
yeah.
Jacob Elordi as Frankenstein is going to be fucking awesome. I'm here for that.
Have you seen the set photo of Maggie Gyllenhaal's with like Christian
Of
Bale as
Christian
Frankenstein?
Bale, yeah.
The set
Yeah.
photo looks
Yeah.
amazing.
It looks crazy.
Looks amazing. Cannot wait.
Yeah. Christian Bale versus Elordi, Frankenstein
Yeah,
2024.
we're
We'll
facing
see who
off.
takes the cake. Yeah. So should we move into our future or our recent watches, or do we have more news to discuss?
We don't have any more news. We have two recent watches for you that we have to talk about, which I'm actually more excited than talking about the Fall Guys. So let's get into it.
All right. Well, right here in the edit, I hope we can cue the music to challengers, because
Oh yeah, I'll put it in.
challengers we've both seen. Um, I so desperately want to see it again before it leaves theaters. It needs to be seen on the biggest screen possible.
Oh yeah.
Um, this movie is the best fucking movie of the year. It's not even close. It might be the best movie of the 2020s, and it might be up there with another movie we'll discuss later. But what did you think? It's been a while since we've seen Challengers now. It's probably been 2 weeks since we've seen it, right?
It was longer for me. Like I talked about it very briefly, I think, on last episode, so it was like 2 weeks ago, and I didn't want to get into it because you haven't seen it. So if anyone
Because
out
I
there
was seeing it
hasn't
like
seen
two
it,
days later. Yeah.
yeah. So anyone out there who hasn't seen it, I'm not gonna like spoil the plot, but just we're gonna talk about things if you
Or
don't want to
skip
know
ahead,
anything.
because it's going to be hard to not spoil some stuff. I feel like in this convo,
True, yeah.
it may
But
be hard.
this film blew my socks off. I was just I watched it and I could not believe my eyes. I just when I got out, I'm like, this is one of the best films I've seen in recent times. It is incredible. And like I said, I watched a lot of Ozu films before it, so I was used to just stillness and not a lot of action. And then watching this, which is like the complete opposite, was just insane. The camera movements, dude, as soon as the ball turned into the camera and you see like the camera going from racket to racket, I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. The soundtrack, and then like they go underneath the floor and it becomes transparent. We see them from below. Like I was just blown away. I'm like, Luca, you are a freaking genius. This is the best thing, and performances, and they are absolutely incredible. I do this film just it's incredible. But I've been waiting to hear your full thoughts. So please talk about it.
Yeah, I really am not exaggerating at all when I say I think this might be like the best film of, I mean, for sure this year so far. That's not even a debate. It's
Mhm.
blows everything else out of the water. But it for the 2020s, really for me personally, it might be up there. Like Anatomy of a Fall is up there as well. You know how much I love that
Yep.
from last year. That's up there too. And the reason that I love it, the shots and all that is so insane, and it's the best experience ever. But
Mhm.
this is a true unicorn. When I went to the theaters yesterday to go see a movie that we'll discuss later on a separate episode,
Mhm.
I went with my parents, and I nudged my mom and I said, do you notice something? Every trailer that we've seen, which is about 7 before the movie starts, every last one, Mad Max Furiosa, Deadpool versus Wolverine, um, I've already blanked out the others because they were so nauseating to me. Every single last one was a sequel or some kind of reboot of an existing thing.
Yep.
Every single last one. And it sucks because it's unoriginal, and it's just what the people want, and it's all that people are investing in. But the fact that Challengers, a completely 100% completely original story, was made and released and distributed on the most massive level worldwide imaginable. That movie had a $50 million budget. That is absolutely crazy. 50 million is insane for a movie like that, an original. It blows my mind that it was made, and I am honestly just telling everyone to go see it, because if more people go see Challengers in theaters, then I promise you studios will give more chances to filmmakers to actually tell new and original stories. Because I don't give a fuck about Deadpool 6 meets Wolverine. I don't give a flying fuck about fucking Furiosa or any of this shit. I don't care. I don't want any of these sequels. We don't care. We don't want it. I don't care. But
Mhm.
challengers, give me that shit. Original. I mean, fun, funny, entertaining as shit. Super emotional. I mean, dramatic to the nth degree. Um, Incredible direction, and just it's a risky movie too. It's not a safe movie to make either. It's very risky in terms of the subject matter. So yeah, I'll settle down for a minute and let you take over again. But I actually feel excited. The fact that I saw that at the end, it actually like inspired me and made me excited. Think like, okay, people are still getting a chance. Sure, you have Zendaya, the biggest star in Hollywood, pretty much right now, and you have Luca, who is obviously a darling auteur, but it is still a completely original story, and they got a shit ton of money to make it. Um, so for that, guys, please go see it in theaters before it leaves. Show them that people do want to see that. We don't want to see Avengers 12. Okay, we want to see this. This is what we want to see. Um, but yeah, what you can go off now for a minute or two.
I heard people like saying because of the Fall Guy, like the Fall Guy isn't performing as well, and people were like, people want original films and not supporting Fall, but even Fall Guy is a reboot of like an old TV show.
It is. Yep.
So I don't think it's like that original. And if you have like films like Oppenheimer last year, which did super well, now we have challengers, and like we need films like that to succeed. We need films like that,
Yep.
and they did. Whoever was like behind the marketing for challengers, they did a genius move because this film blew up on TikTok insanely well. Like Gen Z, like my entire generation, like the younger ones, they're just like about this film because of how they marketed it, because what they
Yeah.
did with the trailers, because what they did on TikTok. People were even expecting the film to be something different that it was not. Like a lot of people were talking about, like I told them, people at my work, like, yeah, I watch Challengers. They're like, oh, that threesome film, which, spoiler alert, but there's not a single threesome in that film. But a lot of people are led to believe that there is. And a
Much
lot
to
of
my
people even,
dismay.
yeah, a lot of people like watched it even just because of that and were disappointed, which I don't get your like what you pay to like what is important in a film if you're disappointed after what you got, like that is way better than what a threesome could ever be. But just that film is just so incredible. And dude, Luca, I mean, even like the guy who wrote it, like that potion selling guy that the video I like send you, he is like the fact that this is like I think his first like feature film that he wrote
Hmm.
is just incredible. I'm so glad he got the opportunity. And dude, this film is just it's like you said, a unicorn, complete unicorn, and we need more films like that. So if you have the chance, go watch in a theater. Do not miss this because you will regret not seeing this film.
Yeah. And I love that you mentioned Justin, which I think his last name is Justin Kuritzkis or Kuritz. I don't really know how to pronounce it.
Mhm.
But I love that you brought him up because Challengers does pair very well with another film that, when viewed together, make it very interesting. And it's a
Oh
film
yeah,
that you
that's
loved. I believe your number one of last year. Was this your number one
it.
film of 2023?
Perfect Days was actually like I changed it
Oh,
up after the
okay,
fact, but it
okay,
was. But then I thought
okay.
about Perfect Days. But
But
that's actually like another coincidence that we have both of these films to talk about because you
mhm.
watched this other one.
Past
Yeah.
Lives from
Yep.
last year, which everyone, you especially, so you got to see it, you got to see it. And I was like, I know I will eventually. I just, I didn't get to it. And on the plane the other day, I finished up some work and I had about an hour, 40 minutes left of the flight. So I'm scrolling through the movies on there and I see Past Lives and I think, why not? Let's go ahead and do this now. And that movie just fucking obliterated me, absolutely destroyed me. Was um, incredibly made, flew by like that. I
Yep.
mean, it was like I blinked and the movie was over. Um, and yeah, I'm sitting next to these two women and I'm just like literally just like crying like the entire time for like a solid hour straight. Like there are
Mhm.
just tears that just keep coming out of my eyes. And I keep just having to like go like this and whatnot. And I think everyone was just like watching me watch the movie.
Yep.
Um, but and I really want to talk about this aspect is that obviously the director of that film was Celine Song and writer, and it's very autobiographical for her. And she
Mhm.
is married to Justin Kuritzkis or whatever, the man who wrote Challengers.
Yep.
Um, and these movies have a very interesting dialogue with one another, considering they're both in a way focused on this menage a trois where it's not properly, they're not actually, threesome, but it is a thruple in a way. And the
Mhm.
dynamic between this. And it's funny because you see, it makes so much sense that Justin's point of view would then turn into challengers where these two people competing for this woman.
Mhm.
Whereas past lives is this woman who's there isn't really even a competition. Like, and she is faithful to her husband entirely. And
Mhm.
it's not that there ever is, but it's more so a confusion of what decisions did I make that led me here. Not that she's unhappy with it, but maybe just thinking of what could have been. And that obviously can make you, a little, I don't even know the word, not crazy, because she always acts very composed and, um, but it can drive you up a wall for sure. So it's interesting to see that you see this Joe. I forget his name in past, his real fucking name, the guy from Past Lives, Joe. Uh, Help me out here. Do you know his name? John. No, John Majaro, the white guy.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, it's funny to like watch him and see his reactions, and I can totally believe that that guy would then go on to write Challengers.
Oh, yeah.
And in some interviews that I listened to after watching Challengers, it seemed that he was not at all like someone asked him about the relationship between the two films, and he was very quick to deny any kind of connection between the films or any kind of dialogue between the two films. But I think most people who probably view both can probably maybe think that he might be fibbing about that a little bit.
Where's the third guy? I wanna know who the third guy was. We need him to
I want to see
make
his movie.
we need those 3 films, like, it's not complete. We need
Yeah.
this trilogy. We need to find the third guy. He has the opportunity to do something very funny and make a
Yep.
film as well from his perspective. We need that. Someone find this man. Someone I'm sure there's someone out there who knows, like, the
Oh
third, like,
yeah.
if please encourage him to make a film because we need this
Something.
third one. Reach out
Yeah.
to us. We'll help you make it. We'll
Yeah.
be a
Straight
partner.
up. Um,
Yeah, like it's very funny that both these films, and I mean, they're first films for both of them. It's very funny that they both have like this thematic. Sure, like the films are about different stuff, but you have this like underlining. I mean, it's very obvious that like what I'm trying to say here, but like, where's the third guy? Find him.
yeah.
We need him.
And
But yeah.
I love seeing things like this happen. It reminds me of kind of like the dialogue between Sofia Coppola's film Lost in Translation with Spike Jones' film Her, which were made like 10 years apart, but again, are kind of these films that are in conversation with one another,
Mhm.
made after the separation of like their marriage, to one another.
Mhm.
Although they're still happily married, I think, or they're at least married, Justin and
Yeah,
Celine
yeah.
Song.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's yeah. I really am kind of I don't want to. I'm kind of speechless over past lives too, and I don't even want to sit here and try to like formulate thoughts into words because I think it was just a massive like emotion that was kind of washing over me, and certainly being able to relate to it very intensely.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great, great, great movie. And Challengers, holy shit, this thing should win every single award that there is to
Hope.
give out this year. And I'm waiting for someone to dethrone Challengers as number one of the year.
It's gonna be tough to beat for sure. And like with past lives, like it's definitely hard to put it into words. Even now, like I've seen it over half a year ago, like when it first came out. And like still there's not really like words for it. It's just like a feeling for the film. And you cannot explain it to someone because that person has to have seen it because I told you about the film and like it was nothing compared to what you feel now. And you guys don't understand like the joy I get when I see that Tristan like gave a film 5 stars, and not just the film that I absolutely loved, but just in general knowing like my guy was out there watching just a banger film, feeling all these emotions. It fills me with so much joy, and it was very funny because I woke up at like, I don't know, like 8 a.m. in the morning, and I see like a bunch of messages from Tristan on my phone, like a couple of ones, but I only see the last one, like the most recent one. And it's like I just bawled my eyes out on the plane. I'm like, yo, what happened? I click on it and see the other ones. I'm just see like past lives. And I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, someone should have filmed you crying in that plane and just posted it. That shit would have gone viral. Like this
That's
dude
for the
is,
marketing.
yeah, this dude is crying on a plane watching past lives. Everyone would have been like, literally me would have been like the viral sensation. So
I
missed
will say this is my
opportunity.
second. This is my second time crying to a movie on a plane.
What was the
Can
first
you
one?
can you venture a guess what the first one was? I will tell you. I'll tell you the year.
Yeah.
Let me double check the year, but
Okay.
I it would be 2019. Is yeah, 2019.
2019. That was a banger year.
Banger.
Can I check what films came out in
Yeah,
2019?
you can check.
Okay. Because I know like there were a lot of bangers in 2019. Okay, let's see. Probably Cats, just because of how
Ah, you nailed it. How'd you know?
I'm looking at everything right now. There are a lot of like contenders that could be it.
Hmm.
Was it
I think, huh?
was it a French film?
No, it was American. It was an American
Okay, so it
film,
was not Portrait of a Lady on
and
Fire.
it was starring somebody who's in a film that we've discussed today. That's the last hint I'll give.
A film we watched today.
A
You
film we
talked
discussed. A film we discussed today.
film that we discussed today. Was it Jojo Rabbit?
No, no, I've never seen Jojo Rabbit.
Oh, I thought because of Scarlett Johansson because she was in Lost in Translation.
Okay, well, I didn't think about that. So I guess the two stars of this movie, last hint, were in two movies. You just named one of them. She was in another movie that year.
I have no clue.
As soon as I say it, you're just gonna palm your forehead. Should I just say it?
Just say,
Starring ScarJo and Adam Driver, the film Marriage Story from 2019.
oh, that's right. I came out in. Why is it not on my letterbox? I watched it. Oh, here it is. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense,
Yeah,
especially because we talked about another film, like a marriage film from the same director last episode.
yeah.
So
I was gonna say that for my third and final.
yeah, okay, that makes sense. You watched it on the plane?
I did on my phone on the plane because it was on Netflix. It had just
Best
come
way to
out. Like
watch it.
it was. I know. It was because it was a Netflix released film,
Yeah,
and I was dying to see it before the end of the year. I remember it was like a late release, like a November, December kind of thing, I think.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I downloaded it on my phone and I watched it on my
Mhm.
phone, and yeah, it was pretty
That
intense.
was a great film. I need to rewatch that.
Great movie. Yeah, great movie. But anyway, shall we move on to our movie of the week that we're really here to discuss, albeit briefly, but here to discuss?
I mean, let's do it. Yeah. So
Why
now
don't
we're
you
gonna
go ahead and intro it since this was, again, like I said, this is Dino's favorite film, maybe better than Challengers. He
absolutely,
said to me.
absolutely. I mean, of course, talking about the Fall Guy, starring a bunch of people, including our boy Ryan Gosling, of course, Emily Blunt, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Hannah Waddingham, and Winston Duke is also in it,
Yeah.
and also a Teresa Palmer who didn't get anything to do really, which was a little bit disappointing to me, but all around like a very great cast and a very fun premise. It's about this stunt guy working well after like an accident. He has a crush on a woman who is now directing her first film, and he gets called in to help her because her star is missing. And so the stunt guy, played of course by Ryan Gosling, has to find him, and through that he gets into a whole bunch of trouble and action. And yeah, so what were your yeah, should I talk about my cinema experience first
You
before
go
we
first.
talk?
I say you go first. Yeah.
Because I have a kind of a wild story, something that happened
I've been waiting to
in
hear
like
this. You teased it to me
I teased a
outside the
little
pod.
bit, something that happened which was more interesting than the film, honestly. So I we sit down, the film is like slowly starting, and this guy in his like early 20s, something like that. He was like 19, 20, something like that. And his dad, they come in and they originally were sitting somewhere else, but they see that next to us, like on the left side, there are seats free because no one showed up. I don't know if they were like the person, like the people didn't make it or whatever. So they stand up and they sit next to us, which I don't mind. I mean, if it's free, you can change your seat, whatever. The film starts, and this guy just keeps talking nonstop, reacting to every single scene in the film. Every time something happens, he just points at the screen laughing. He's like, "That's great. That's genius. That's amazing." And I'm like, sort of annoyed. I mean, he laughed a lot, which, I mean, it's a comedy film, I guess, but like, I don't
Can
mind.
I can I
Yeah,
ask, is he commenting in German or in English?
in English. So it was an English screening, and he was commenting
Okay.
in English. He was like actually saying like, "Oh, that's great. Oh my God, that's genius. Haha, that's great." And like I said, I have nothing against laughing. I mean, a lot of times I watched a comedy film and one time there was a guy who was laughing so ridiculously that it made the film even better just because of this guy's
Yeah,
laugh.
yeah,
But like this guy was genuinely annoying, like proper annoying. And every time something happened, he turns to his dad and he explains things to his dad. Not quietly, like actually talking like, and this thing, and Ryan Gosling was in this other film, and that's a reference to that. I'm like, okay, so my girlfriend's already like super annoyed and like gives this guy like a side eye. And he notices it. She told me after, but like he quickly looks away. So he just keeps talking. After like 30, 40 minutes, I just can't take it anymore. And I see the people around us are also annoyed. So I like go to him. He was like a couple seats away. Um, I didn't like stand up. I'm just like, yo, like, dude. And he doesn't look at me. He like completely ignores me. I'm like, hey. And he doesn't acknowledge me at all. So I kind of stand up a little bit. I'm like, yo, can you talk a little bit more quiet? It's really like distracting. He looks at me. He's like, yo, man, calm down, calm down, calm down. I'm like, what? Then his dad looks at me. He's like, what did he say? What did he say? Talking to his son. He's like, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. And I can tell like he's really nervous. I'm like, what's happening? I just wanted. So I sit back down. I'm like really confused. Did he get what I was trying to say? Like, what's happening? Like, that's a weird reaction to me
yeah.
asking to be more quiet. He's like, calm down. So he stops talking for a little bit. The film goes on, and I mean, I guess it's not really a spoiler. I didn't really like the film that much. So at this point, I'm already like completely checked out. And he starts talking again. So I didn't care as much, but I was still annoyed. So the film ends, right? And his dad stands up and he walks because there's two exits, and we were like
Yeah.
in the middle. And I guess the left exit would be easier for him, but his dad walks to the right exit, right in front of us, gives me like this weird look. And I look at him, I'm really confused. He walks there. His son walks in the other direction to the closest door to him. And I look to him and he's like, Dad, Dad, come here, let's go out here. Like he wanted to go into that exit. And his English wasn't that perfect, but he's like, go to this exit. His dad just looks at him and just walks out. So this guy, super nervous, starts walking back, like to try to follow his dad. And so I stand up and I wanted just to tell the guy, like, hey, it was a misunderstanding. Like, I just, like,
Like he's
you're not,
coming back through. He's coming
he's
back through
coming
your
back
row.
because he wanted to go to his dad because his dad, like,
Yeah,
he yelled, like, through the entire, like, cinema, through
theater.
the entire theater, like, Dad, let's go out here. Like, let's go to this exit. And his dad, I don't think he heard him. He just, like, left. And so this guy comes back, has to walk like like he has to walk by me.
Pastor. Yeah.
So I stand up and I wanted to confront him because I just wanted to tell him like, dude, like you can't just like talk that loudly in a theater. There's other people here. You're not in your living room. I stand up and all of a sudden this guy starts sprinting. And I thought, is he gonna charge me? But he sprints like just by me and I try to stop him, not like physically. I'm just like,
Yeah. Yeah.
hey dude, like And he's like, shut the fuck up, shut the fuck up. Sprints past me, is like near the exit, throws up two middle fingers, yells, shut the fuck up, and sprints out. Everyone in the theater is just looking at me and this guy, super confused. I'm like, what just I was so confused. I'm like, what just happened? So I go out with my girlfriend and I see this guy taking the car keys from his dad and sprinting down the escalator. His dad wanted to go to the toilet, what I assume. He did not give a fuck, like, if what his son, like, he just wanted to get away. My girlfriend also had to go, like, to the restroom. So we go there. I wait for my girlfriend. The dad comes out, walks past me, looks at me. I'm like, I'm gonna say something to him. So I tell him, like, hey, because I think he didn't really understood what was going on because he asked his son, like, what did he say? What did he say? His son said, like, don't worry about it. So I'm like, hey, man. So I don't mean no disrespect. I just wanted to tell your son that it's like really rude to talk that loudly in a theater. He's like, what should I do about it? I'm like, nothing. I just wanted to say, like, I wanted to explain to you why it was so distracting. He's like, my son is an adult. He can do what he want. You can talk to him. I'm like, I tried talking to him. He yelled at me to shut the fuck up and sprinted out. And I could tell like he was really nervous even when he yelled shut the fuck up. He was scared shitless, which I wouldn't say like I'm an intimidating person. I'm tall, yeah, but I didn't get
I
like
was gonna say
violent.
when you stood up though, he probably was like, "Oh, this dude's like tall as hell. He could probably beat my
I
ass if
I
he
think he
wanted to."
thought that like maybe I wanted to do something. So that's why he even
Yeah,
like said calm down. And that's why he sprinted with the car keys. He maybe thought like I mean, I wanted to confront him, but like not physically, just want to tell him like, hey, you're in a theater, keep it down, right? And so his dad is like, yeah, you can talk to him. He's an adult. I'm like, I tried to. He told me to shut the fuck up and he ran away. He's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, that's not my problem. And walks away. And I told him, like, that's just bad parenting. And he's just
yeah.
like, yeah, thank you for your advice and just goes, right? My girlfriend is done. We slowly walk to the parking lot. And who like drives right in front of us? This guy and his dad. And he just gives me a look. I didn't see it, but my girlfriend said like he looked really scared. And they drove off super fast through like the parking lot, and that was that. It was a weird cinema experience I had. Like honestly, it's just I
That is
didn't.
absolutely bizarre.
It was absurd. Like that guy, he was and like he had his hood on. Like you could tell, like he just went there just to have, like he didn't care for other people. He just was just there to have like a great time for himself. Did not care for other people, and like I said, super disrespectful, like yelling, "Shut the fuck up!" And a lot of people who were in our theater came up to me afterwards. They asked like, "What happened? What did this guy do?" And I told them, and they're like, "This guy is super weird." Like everyone was just so confused by the situation. A couple people like approached me, asked if everything was all right. It
Yeah.
was super bizarre, and it definitely like made my experience worse. So
Do you did you at all get the vibe from him that he was maybe like mentally challenged? Because
maybe
that is weird as hell. Like that seems to me
he's
like someone who's like maybe like had some kind of like disorder or handicapped or something mentally.
I don't think he was handicapped. I think he was just like very spoiled, and you could tell that that his dad did not care for him at all because he
Yeah.
was scared, telling his dad like, "Come to this exit," because I think he thought that I might follow him to the other exit. So he was scared, like he was shaking, and even when he yelled, "Shut the fuck up," it wasn't like a "I'm gonna beat you up." Shut the fuck. He was like a "Don't hurt me." Like he was like shaking. His voice was shaking when he yelled that. Which makes me confused because if you're intimidated and scared of someone, you're not
Why
gonna
are you
tell that
telling them to
person
shut the fuck
to shut
up
the
and
fuck
give
up
him the
because
fingers?
I'm not that person, but imagine if I was and you do that, like you're making the situation worse. So it was super confusing. I think like he just like I said, his dad, I don't think his dad like really raised him well. I think his dad is like, I don't care what my son does, just because I approached him and I think any other dad, like my dad, would have told the guy like, I'm super sorry, and I would have been in trouble if I did things like that. Like
Yeah.
this, that's like, I don't care. What am I supposed to do? He's an adult. He can do what he wants. I'm like, that's bad parenting if you don't care
It
that your son like is like that to a stranger in a theater if he's in the wrong. Like that's just weird. But
it
yeah.
makes sense that the kid is a piece of shit if the dad is acting like that. It
Oh
makes
yeah.
sense. Which I feel
Oh yeah.
bad for the damn kid. Like he didn't stand a chance. Look who's fucking parenting him, you know?
Yeah. So super bizarre. And
Very
like I said,
strange.
definitely made my experience worse because I was definitely like so confused and also like super irritated just by this whole situation. But yeah,
Do
that's
you
just
think that's why? Yeah, I know we kind of haven't really gotten into the film itself, but
Mhm,
I think we've made it obvious that you were not a big fan of this film. Do you
mhm.
think at all that is a reason why, or you were already kind of like, eh?
There were other reasons, like there are other problems I had with the film, but I think that's why I couldn't enjoy it as much for what it was, which
Okay.
is just like a fun summer blockbuster. I expected something else, which I'll get into, but maybe we can hear your thoughts first, just so I don't, so it's not just me talking, so I can tell you
No,
afterwards.
no, no. I loved hearing that story. So please talk on more. But I mean, I personally I enjoyed it. I don't think
Mhm.
you we had discussed and you had made a bold claim. I don't, if you don't mind me saying, I don't know if you still stand behind it. I think you do, but you
I do,
said
yeah.
that this was you, you you said that you said that this was worse than the Gray Man is something that
For
you
me,
had said in a
for me it
direct
was
quote.
for sure, yeah.
So I went into it being like, oh my god, what the fuck am I going to see? And I can say for me personally, at least, it's definitely better than the Gray Man. So I'm making a. Are you putting together like a ranking on Letterboxd or anything so far of the Ryan Gosling movies, in
I'm
any
not.
way?
I know you're doing that. I haven't done that.
I think for like when we get to the end of Ryan Gosling's filmography, then we can maybe go through like a full
Yeah.
thing. But
Mhm,
at least as of right now, if I can give a little tease, we've watched 14 Ryan Gosling films, and I
mhm.
would rank Fall Guy at number 11 personally,
Okay.
and I would rank it behind, which is a hot take. I would rank it behind the number 10 spot, which is Blade Runner 2049. I know, hot
Damn,
take,
that's
but
that's crazy.
visually amazing movie. I thought was very boring though, and was just
Mhm,
not. But a great spectacle, and he was a great character, but very slow. And at number 12, I have The Ides of March, a movie that I thought was fine with no stakes, but I thought I thought Ryan Gosling was great, but I did think that, like the movie itself, I was like, there's no suspense here at all. But
mhm.
I did feel in the moments that there were suspense in the Fall Guy, there at least was like some kind of tension, suspense. Where I'm like, oh shit, like is he like going to be able to do this? No matter how silly it was, like all
Mhm.
this, which I did have some issues. I did have some issues with the movie as well. But at the end of the day, I don't think the movie was promising anything that it didn't give. I didn't think it was going to be a serious movie. I don't think I ever thought it was going to be even a well-made, great, fantastic film. I think I went into it thinking it's just going to be a fun, entertaining, rompy sort of dumb genre movie. Um, and that's exactly what it was. Not that genre movies are dumb, but this would have just been
Mhm.
a dumb
Yeah.
genre movie.
Mhm.
Um, and it pretty much was exactly what I expected. So I was not disappointed with it personally.
That makes sense.
Um, I had a good time. I liked seeing Ryan Gosling kind of play sort of a simp in a way. It's a nice change of pace from him just being the Gosling that we all know.
Mhm.
So yeah, I kind of I enjoyed it. Will I go see it again? Probably not. Maybe I'll watch it again one day just for the Ryan Goslingness of it. But
Mhm.
other than that, there's nothing else tethering me to the film. But I will say, for 2 hours in IMAX, I had a solid time on a Friday afternoon going to see it, and that's all I could have asked for the film.
I'm happy. I'm happy you liked it. I'm happy you enjoyed it. I had my problems with it because you said it didn't promise anything else, but for me, it definitely did. So because the way they marketed it, it was like this is gonna be the film that really puts the spotlight on stunt people and ensures that stunt people get their Oscar nomination or like their Oscar category. And they like with the marketing, they had like Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling talking about their previous films and then shouting out their stunt people. So it was very much about, hey, this film is gonna change like the the perspective or like the viewpoint on stunt people for like a mass audience. For like the casual moviegoer,
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, oh, stunt people actually do a lot. They're actually very important. They're actually awesome, which is great. But might just be because of the films that I watched in preparation for this that did that way better. And it annoyed me a little bit because for a film, first of all, like the film wasn't as funny as it tried to be. Like except for like that one guy and his dad, like no one was really laughing. And there were like a couple of jokes that I liked, but for the most part, the jokes didn't hit as well.
It's
For
not a
like
funny
a
movie, very, yeah.
no, for like this fun summer blockbuster, like all the other fun summer blockbusters, laughed way more. Like even with Indiana Jones, the last one, which I didn't like as well, there were a lot more lines that hit than this one. So it didn't have that going on for me. And then for the stunts, like I was in it for the stunts. And I think it's a little bit of like a disservice to have so much CGI covering up the stunts, which, like I said, all the other films I watched that we'll talk about later, like the focus were these stunts that you didn't have to enhance them with like crazier stuff. The stunts were the things that shined. But with this one, for example, like that car chase scene, and like at one point they have this like container that is flipping over and they're inside of it, and you can like with everything clearly see like the CGI-ness of it. And I think it's a little bit sad because they should have made these insane stunts that really showcase the stunt people. But instead they're telling us about these great stunt people and then covering everything by CGI and like this weird filter. And it reminded me a lot of Assassin's Creed. I don't know, have you ever seen that film
I
that
didn't
came
see that
out?
movie, no.
Because I played the games when I was little. I always liked them. And there's this one thing that where he goes like to a big tower and he does this
Hmm.
leap of faith thing where he jumps off. And the whole marketing of that film, and I remember it, they were always like showing clips of that insane stunt. And then in the film, there was this weird fog with like the CGI, which I guess they make so it's not as obvious, so they can save some money. They don't have
Yeah.
to put that many visual effects. But then it was this like CGI fest where you can't even like really see the jump. It's so far zoomed out. And like all the behind the scenes footage of that jump were way better than the final thing. And I
Yeah.
think with this film, it's the same thing. Like the actual stunts behind the scenes are so much more impressive than the computer generated, like not generated, but like the computer overlay of the stunts itself. And I think that was a little bit disappointing for me at least, because that's what I wanted to see. That's what I came for. I came for these stunts, and they weren't as impressive. Not because they aren't impressive, but because they were covered up and too over the top for me to really care. So that's like my big issue with the film, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. I think I do agree, and we talked about this off the pod, was I think that the main issue with the Fall Guy is that it was just simply in the wrong hands. Like David Leitch or whatever should not have been directing this. Ryan Gosling should not have been the star of this. It should have been directed by that Chad Stahelski fella. He should have directed this shit, and it should have been starring Tom Cruise. Like, if the only way this movie's being made, we should have been that duo.
Absolute, and a way cheaper budget. No over the top action because I like the premise. I like this
Yeah,
stunt guy having to find the main actor and getting into trouble
it's a
with
great
like these
premise.
criminals. Like it's a great premise, and him having to like do the stuff he does in movies, like those stunts in real life. Such a great premise. I think it's just overshined by the budget and the spectacle of it and by the effects. And then they were doing this weird Mad Max film and then like in Australia and things like that. I just think it just didn't work as well for me. On rewatch, I might like it more. It might be like a fun summer blockbuster, but Yeah. I should enjoy it for what it was, but I just couldn't for the situation that happened also because
Yeah,
I expected more stunt people to shine more. And I guess they did that with like the highlight reel at the end. Like it would have been fun to maybe when the film ends, not the first name you see is Ryan Gosling or David Leitch, but to be like those stunt guys, like that would have been cool to have like the
that would have been
stunt
cool.
guys names before Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt because they did the marketing where they talked about their stunt people on previous films. Like I would have wished more of that, but I guess
I
they
agree.
did some fun stuff with them on the press tour and like the premiere. They did like stunts with
Premiere, you
them.
see that little gimmick?
Yeah. Yeah, where they also had the fight and things like that. Like that's
Yeah,
cool. And I just wish it would have been like more for the stunt people. But I feel like it was more like a summer blockbuster that so happens to be about stunt people than a film that was supposed to shine,
yeah,
like let stunt people shine that turned into more. But
exactly. That was
that's
just their marketing ploy, but it's not really what it was.
yeah, and I think that's just made me a little bit sad because stunt people deserve way more credit and spotlight. So
Yeah,
yeah.
it was definitely a corny ass movie. I cannot deny that. But yeah,
It
I
was
think I just appreciated it for like a summer blockbuster, just for what it was. I'm like, yeah, as a way to kick off like the summer, sure,
yeah,
that's fucking sick. Yeah,
I guess,
let's
yeah,
do it.
for sure. But yeah. And they're planning a sequel as well,
Fucking
which
insane. I cannot believe it. I can't believe ooh, I just can't believe what Ryan Gosling is fucking doing to his career. I really just can't believe it. It's
you're not
such.
excited for the Fall Guy 2 and the Gray Man 2
No,
being
I'm
his next
excited
2
for the Gray
films?
Man too. I'm excited for the Gray Man too. You
And the
know me.
Oceans prequel.
Oh yeah, that's right. And Ocean's 2 or whatever the fuck that shit is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's testing me. He's testing the shit out of me right now. I don't like this era of Gosling one iota.
You're this close to changing your name from Young Gosling to Young Cruz.
Young Cruz. Young Cruz, straight up.
Oh yeah.
I'm fucking disgusted with this man's decisions. I hope he's
Have you
listening
s-
to this right now
have you seen his reason though as to
because of
why he
his
chose?
kids and
Because like
shit.
and that like I can't be mad at a guy because
I
sure
can't either.
I want to watch
Of
like
course, he has like a noble reason too. This is why he's the greatest human being in the industry. Like
uh,
even when I shit on him, I'm like, well, I guess I
uh,
get like it's a good
you can't
reason,
be
but
mad. Like he made
yeah,
Barbie because his daughters like loved playing with Barbies and wanted to make films. And then with the Fall Guy, he had a reason like I think because his daughters are starting to make films, he wanted to make a film about filmmaking.
yeah,
And he also doesn't want to go into a dark place with his characters and violent places. And he wants films that they can watch and enjoy. And like I guess like I can sacrifice not seeing him in these art house films and then him being there for his daughters. I think I'd rather
he's doing
him
it.
be a good dad than like an experimental actor, whatever. So I
Yeah,
can't be
and
mad.
he's doing it for the daughters. You know, like you said, the daughters are into making movies, so he's making one about
Yeah.
making movies. They like Barbies, so he's making Barbies, and you know, he's probably doing the Gray Man too because his daughters want a new beach house, and they're gonna pay him a fucking shit ton of money.
Yeah. He's the Ken spinoff that is supposedly happening as well.
A what
So
spinoff? Ken?
there's talks about a Ken spinoff because Margot Robbie said she's not doing a Barbie 2, but there's rumors that they want to
I'm
do
about to
like a
walk off this
Ken film,
podcast.
and
I'm
so
literally
dude,
about to walk off this pod.
it might be like Oceans, The Gray Man 2, The Fall Guy 2, and then Ken.
Okay,
It
I
might
will
be.
tell you this right now, and it will be on recording. If,
Mhm.
as of right now, this date, if those are the next four films he does, if those are the next four, I swear to God, I'm changing the Instagram name. I swear to God. I swear to
Okay.
God, I will change it. I
That's going to be a
swear to you.
historic moment if that actually happens.
Yeah, I
So someone
swear to
remember
God, it
that.
will get changed.
We're going to forget about this, so write it down. I'm definitely going
May
to forget
11th,
about
2024, 10:38 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, I swear to you, I swear to God, if those are the
it.
next
Yeah.
four on the slate, I will change the name. I'm done with this man. Great father, but holy shit, dude, come on,
I hope he
like
makes
come
something with
on,
San Fran. It doesn't have to be a violent film, but
just make something good with him. At least it'll
make a
be in
film
the hands
about
of the filmmaker.
a father who wants to be an actor who takes on
Yes,
roles for his
you
daughters.
know,
Make something like
I'm gonna write this. I'm gonna write it myself for him. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, we're gonna reach out to him. We're gonna have him on the podcast, and
But
then
that's the thing. I don't get. You don't want to do something violent. I get that. It just
yeah,
because it's a good independent movie doesn't mean it's violent. Like, what are you talking? You could go be in a past lives kind of thing with fucking Emma Stone. Go do that. That'd be
Blue
sick.
Valentine isn't violent. I mean, sure, it's a sad place, but like that's a film about breakup and things like that. So there's other ways, but I think like yeah, he wants to be
I,
close to his daughters. He probably wants to make money so they can live a good
but how?
life.
But how close? This man just shot the fall guy in fucking Australia. He's not close to his daughters.
I think they were with him because Eva Mendes like she stopped being an actress to be a mom.
Yeah,
So they might
love
have
that
been like,
woman. My
there on
God.
vacation as well. Maybe they wanted to go to
Oh,
Australia,
maybe.
and he was
But I
like, "Let's
think
make
yeah,
yeah."
maybe. But I thought their whole thing was like they don't even like acknowledge, like they don't bring them on film sets. They don't acknowledge that they're in the film industry to the
Mm,
kids. Like I thought that
maybe,
was like their whole thing, or maybe that was just when
maybe,
they were younger. I don't know. But that's
yeah,
one hell of a
maybe,
fucking woman right there. Ava Mendes, that is like a one in a million woman right there. Jesus
yeah.
Christ. I don't just
And I
mean like
like,
physically, but like I mean like as like a wholesome, like
yeah,
independent, strong, smart woman. Yeah, I
for
respect the
sure.
fucking shit out of her.
And they're
I'm gonna
great
be
parents.
young male Ava will be my new Instagram name
That's your next handle.
when I change it from young Gosling. Yeah,
Okay, that's great. I mean, she deserves respect. Like she is
she's fucking
such a
awesome.
great woman and such a great mother to her. I mean, she stopped being an actress for the kids. I mean, that's just like making so many sacrifices, and for her husband as well, who's still making films, supporting him. She's amazing.
She's
I'm glad.
badass as hell. Shout out to Ava Mendes. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
As of right now, I'm a bigger Ava Mendes fan than a Ryan Gosling fan at this current moment.
we'll do her filmography after the Tom
That's what we
Cruise
should do. Yeah, Hitch, the other guys,
Ghost
Ghost
Rider,
Rider,
which
Ghost Rider.
apparently this is going to make you even more mad. I don't know if I should even tell you.
No, I know. I've heard that they've been talks of him being the new Ghost Rider, right?
Wants to be like he said if there's like one Marvel character he wants to play,
It would
like
be
it'll
Ghost
be Ghost
Rider.
Rider. And there was a
I think
great
that would be
concept
sick, though.
that I saw today that I didn't want it to send you because I thought it might make you mad. But there's a guy who did like incredible concept art of Ryan Gosling as Johnny Blaze, which looked amazing. But
I would be here for that. I would be if he's going to do something, at least that feels like it's in that makes sense.
yeah,
That makes
but that's
sense.
but that's also like a dark place for Ghost Rider. Like that is one of Marvel's like
That's what I'm
darkest
saying.
characters.
That's what I'm
So
saying. Ryan, just stop lying to us. You want the money. It's okay. You can just say that. You don't have to fucking lie. Everyone has gone to their mainstream era, and that's okay. Just don't lie to us and say, oh, it's because I'm such a good guy. Motherfucker, you're doing dark shit. Violent? The Gray Man was violent. I thought you're not doing violence anymore, RG. What are you
it
doing?
is.
I saw hella explosions in the Fall Guy. There was violence in that. So what are you talking about? He should just do
Yeah.
animated features. If he wants to do something for the kids that is wholesome, that his children can watch, that there's no violence, no dark places, then you should just do animated features then. If that's the
Nice
case.
picture film. You can do a voice.
Yeah.
A
If
voice.
that's the case, Ryan, I'm calling you out on it. I know you're listening. I know you and Ava are both listening right now in your kitchen somewhere.
The beef started here on this
B
episode.
started here. If I see him, I'm kicking his ass. Yeah.
I still hope he's
Um,
Nova. He's playing Nova for Marvel. That'd be my dream. And I wouldn't be mad at him. I'd actually be super excited because that's one of my favorite superheroes. Let's get into our four films,
Yeah,
shall
yeah.
we?
Well, first, on a
Mhm.
scale of 1 to 10 really shitty movies, how many shitty movies are you literally like? What's his name? Colt? Is his name Colt
Colt
in this
Seavers,
movie?
which is a great
Colt
name.
Stevers. Great name.
Colt, he always has great names in these films.
He
Um,
does.
well, I like his relationship with Emily Blunt's character. And I
Hmm.
like that he's like so in love that he's trying everything to save her and save this film and save her career. I think that's very nice of him. I can relate to him sitting in the car crying to Taylor Swift. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just great. So, like I said, not as cool as him with the stunts, but actually, like, despite not liking the film a lot, I liked his character.
Oh
I
yeah.
give him a 7, honestly, something like
I'm the
that.
same. I'm the
Yeah,
same. I'm
I
seven.
like
Seven shitty movies.
he's
Yeah.
likable. He's likable.
He's so likable. And this is the thing that I may hate his decisions, and no matter what I see, he is the most likable person in Hollywood. So it's like I
Oh
can
yeah,
talk all the shit I want here, but then I'll watch all of these movies and be like, yeah, that's my guy. Like he's so fucking likable. I don't even mind. Um, yeah,
I can't even
incredibly
imagine.
likable, lovable character.
Yeah, I can't even imagine like how many times a day Refn is calling him up like, "Let's do this film." He's like, "Too dark, not doing it," and Refn is
I
like,
know.
"I need to get him back."
I know, I know. I really wish that Derek would have gotten him for this new the McDonald's movie that they're doing with Channing Tatum. I'm sure
Yeah,
Channing Tatum's gonna be fucking awesome
he's
in
gonna
it,
kill it.
but
He's perfect, but yeah,
I would have loved to have seen Ryan Gosling doing that. That would have been fun.
but he is like making. He's starting his own production company, and they
Yes,
said to make films. I think for Amazon, I think it is
Amazon. Yeah,
making smaller, like more artsy film for his one. So we might be
so we'll
back with that
see.
one. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll
Yeah, we'll
see.
see. Well, let's get into our four movies, our four literally me movies for the Fall Guy. Do you you want to kick it off?
I can kick it off. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so my first film, and funny enough, so I made this list a long time ago in preparation. I wanted to watch these films in preparation for the Fall Guy. I
Hmm.
wanted to watch stunt films, and then later, like I think it was Letterboxd, they released the video where they interviewed David Leitch and Ryan Gosling and asked them about like four favorites and films that inspired this one. And funny enough, a lot of these films were on that list. So
Oh,
just saying, so a lot of people might know about these films because of that. But the first one is the film Hooper, which I watched, starring Reynolds as Sonny Hooper. And this film just did it so good. And you can see the inspiration for the Fall Guy from this film. So it's about this stunt guy who is, he's old. He's wanting to retire. Like his wife wants him to retire. He has a lot of problems with his health because of the many years and the toll it took to be a stunt person in Hollywood. But he's one of the best in Hollywood. So this director approaches him and this producer, and they want him to make this film. To which he says yes. They're offering him a lot of money, and but they want to do in talks with him this great grand final stunt, which his wife isn't as happy about. And I don't want to spoil all too much, but it's like this final stunt about him jumping off this bridge that was destroyed, doing this like insane jump, which they did for the Fall Guy as well. Like that final thing where they're taking Aaron Taylor Johnson's character on this drive to do this jump, that sounds insane. That's like taken directly from Hooper, I can imagine. But Burt Reynolds is just so much fun to watch as this stunt guy. The director is like this complete nutcase who is this great artist, but also very arrogant, and it also pays off in the end. Um, without spoiling too much, but have you seen this film? It came out in 1978.
I have
You gotta
not
watch it.
actually.
You will
It's
love
it's
this
right up
film.
it's right up my alley.
Oh yeah,
But I've never actually have seen it. Yeah, I thought
you
for
gotta
years
watch
it was connected to Smokey and the Bandit. Like I thought that that was a
because they did
like there
another
was.
film together. Yeah, which I don't think is like related to this one, but like I said, Hooper, incredible film. You'll love it. I can assure you this is the style of filmmaking that you love, and just a great film that really puts the spotlight on stunt people and is from the perspective of stunt people, and amazing film.
Yeah, shout out Burt
That's my
Reynolds,
favorite.
Florida State University football player.
Didn't know that. Hell yeah.
Yeah,
He's
legendary.
amazing. That's
Yeah,
my first pick.
uh, that's a great pick. My first pick is a movie also from the 70s by my boy Sam Peckinpah. It is called The Killer Elite from 1975. It is starring James Caan and Robert Duvall. The basic idea is that James Caan and Robert Duvall are these like group of like freelance spies that work for like the CIA. They don't work for the CIA, but they are hired by the CIA pretty regularly.
Mhm.
And while on a job, Robert Duvall turns on him and shoots James Caan in like I think like in like both legs or like in one knee and in one elbow. So he's like his arm and leg is completely like fucked.
Mhm.
And James Caan then goes through this long journey of like re-healing. And when he finally does, he has like a brace and a cane, and he goes after Robert Duvall again. And it's an interesting film. I don't. It's a bit of a mess. Sam Peckinpah was very, very, very deep into his cocaine days at this point and his alcoholism, which he was always into both of these things, but this is when it really started to take over him. So much so that actually his name is left off of the opening credits. When I watch this film, it actually says directed by, and there's no name underneath. It
Just
just
blank.
I've never
Yeah,
seen that before. But in
that's
the
crazy.
Killer Elite, it says directed by, and then it's blank underneath.
The fact that it
It's
even
very
have to direct it
strange.
by, they could have
It's very
just,
odd,
yeah.
and it could have just been in the ones that I saw, but it's very weird.
Mhm.
And Sam Peckinpah was getting taken off a bunch of films, but it's a movie that has a bunch of stunts in it, and in fact, it's really random because there's like a lot of like it takes place in like the U.S. I think it takes place in I don't want to say where because I actually don't remember where, but in the US, but there's a bunch of like ninjas that show up randomly. And there's a
Damn.
bunch like James Caan is doing like kung fu with like a cane. And it's very strange, but the over the topness of it is very fun and something that I think that Cole Seaver's character would probably be like, oh, this is pretty sick. And there are some cool stunts in regards in that way. Again, a bit of a mess of a movie, maybe kind of like The Fall Guy, but it is entertaining, and it's definitely a must watch for anyone who is into like Sam Peckinpah, just for the lore of his career at that point.
I have to check it out, especially when you mentioned like you can tell the influence of the drugs with the filmmaking. I
Yeah,
think that just sounds wild, and I can't even
yeah,
imagine. That's a
it
great one. I have
is.
to watch that.
Yeah, it's insane. Um, what's your second film?
I'm actually gonna shuffle it around just so we can stay on like directors who did probably like a lot of drugs and alcohol for this film. And the film I'm talking about is The Last Movie, directed by Dennis
Oh hell
Hopper.
yeah! I was just thinking
The
about that movie too.
story for this one, it's a great film, and it's about this film that is being shot in Peru, I think it is.
Hmm.
And on the set, one of the stunt guys dies, and Dennis Hopper is playing the main role. He's just called Kansas, and the if they make the film, they finish it, the whole crew flies out, but Dennis Hopper stays behind, and I think he was like the stunt coordinator, so he feels like super bad about this death. And so he stays behind with his girlfriend, wife, who's also from Peru, and it's hard to explain this film because it's just super. Have you seen this? Because I know we talked
Course,
about it.
of course,
You've
yeah.
seen it. Okay. It is, yeah, you told me about it because of like he made it after the success of Easy Rider. That's how they allowed him to make this wild film, which I don't know how it got made, but I'm glad it did. Um, so pretty much the crew goes back to America, but the people who live there in like this small village in Peru, they kind of go insane and they also want to make a film. So they make these like cameras and sound equipment out of wood and they pretend to shoot a film, which also turns violent because they have riots. And then this priest is like going to Dennis Hopper, like, can you get these people under control? They're like doing insane things. They're burning stuff. They're fighting. They're like this. The Americans, like the crew, they brought the violence from the films, from media here. And so people are turning violent. Which is also like a lot about like social commentary about violence in media and how do you say it?
Colonization.
Colonization, colonialism, and the film is just insane. The techniques, just how it's filmed, how it's edited, it just gets crazier and crazier, and it's such a unique film that I definitely recommend to everyone. You have to experience this to know what I'm trying to say here. There are truly no words for this film. What are your thoughts on it? 'Cause I know we
I,
talked about it a little bit.
yeah, no, I think that movie is a masterpiece. Genuinely, I
Yeah.
think it's an incredible movie that is so bold, and there's nothing else like it or similar to it before. or after.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I mean, I love that movie, and I love Dennis Hopper. He's one of my
Yep,
guys.
it's
So
great.
yeah, yeah, great. That's a great pick. I'm glad you
Mhm.
you got around to seeing that one.
Yeah, that's my second one. What's yours?
Cool. So my next one is a fun one from 1997, directed by a guy named Stewie Hark. Um, he directed a movie called Once Upon a Time in China, which is not the movie that I picked. But the movie that I did pick is starring our boy Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dennis Rodman of Chicago Bulls fame in
Mhm.
a movie that they were in together called Double Team from '97. This movie is, I mean, it needs to be added to your watch list, especially if you love JCVD, if you love Hard Target, if you love anything he's done. This is such an over the top, insanely absurd movie. Um, Essentially, I don't even quite know the plot.
This
I
looks
think like
wild.
it's very crazy. I think that um, Jean Claude is like a CIA agent who's like thrown away for failing a mission or something, and then he like breaks out and he teams up with Dennis Rodman, who is like he's like an arms dealer, but it's funny because he's not playing Dennis Rodman, like he's playing a made up character, but he's always making like basketball puns, but it but he's not Dennis Rodman, the basketball player. He's like a
Yeah,
completely different person who doesn't play basketball. So it's weird that he's making these like basketball puns. But anyway, um, I don't quite even understand what the mission is, but they just go out and start doing badass shit together. But the reason I bring it up is because there is an insane stunt, um, just set piece where Jean Claude at some point finds himself in the middle of like a Roman Colosseum, and Mickey Rourke shows up, and they have to fight each other in this Colosseum. But there are landmines buried under the ground throughout the Colosseum. And
God,
on top of that, there is a tiger that's like roaming around as well in the Colosseum. And then Dennis Rodman is like riding his motorcycle into the Coliseum as well to like try to help out. It's pure chaos. It's absurdity. It's pure absurdity. And it may be a lion. I don't remember if it's a lion or a tiger, but some kind of big cat animal.
that is the wildest shit I've ever heard, and this sounds like the best film that was ever
It's
made.
amazing. It's incredible. It's the most 90s. It's kind of like a super like future like cyberpunk kind of vibe as well.
Yeah,
Um,
I can tell by his
Definitely
outfit.
add it. Yeah, definitely add it to the watch list. It is a wild movie. It's fucking hilarious. It's so over the top. I know that there are like robot monks in the movie too, like cyber monks. Um,
I'm gonna pass out. I'm gonna
yeah,
pass out just hearing about this film. It has
it's
everything.
absolutely incredible. It
Does it
has
have monkeys?
absolutely.
If it has monkeys, it has everything.
I don't remember monkeys. It has monks, but maybe no monkeys.
Okay.
Yeah.
They couldn't do all of
Um,
it, because then they would have truly made the best film ever, so I think they just
they said we're not going to do the monkey. Instead, we're going to do a tiger in the
Tiger.
Coliseum instead. Yeah.
That's also good.
So
I like with Letterbox, as soon as you pull up the page, the first thing you see is like sex. It just says sex in the corner. I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
the first thing
Like
I
a
saw when I
sign.
pulled it
Yeah,
up. Yeah. And his outfit just looks
it's
that's
crazy.
incredible. I
It's an insane
I
movie.
I need to see where I can find this film and watch it as soon as I can.
Yeah, yeah. It's a great film. I rented it myself. I don't know that it's streaming. I rented it when I watched it. I think I watched it about a year ago actually when I was on my JCVD kick. Yeah,
I might just have to buy it, honestly. I need to
it's
own this
fucking
film.
awesome. It's awesome. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's my second pick.
Mm. So for my next film, I picked a film that I didn't necessarily like that much as a whole,
Mm.
but it was just a wild film. And that is the film called The Stuntman, directed by Richard Rush, which has one of the greatest film posters, honestly. I love that film poster. And it's the story about this guy who broke out of prison. He is a fugitive and he accidentally the stunt guy gets killed trying to murder him, like try to run him over, and then he stumbles on set of the film. And the director is aware that he's that fugitive, but he takes him in because he needs a new stunt guy. So he covers up that he's a fugitive. The police is looking for him on set, and he becomes their new stunt guy, which is just an incredible and just such a cool concept for a film. It sounded so amazing. The movie is a mess, in my opinion, but like a very entertaining and fun mess.
Yeah.
There is one sequence. It's like this chase scene across like the roofs of this one hotel looking building, and I think it's a hotel because they're shooting this like World War Nazi film. So in this film, like this one guy is trying to get away from these Nazis in like this Nazi headquarter building, and there's this just insane rooftop chase scene that is super funny. Like it's very goofy, but in a good way. You see like all these Nazis flying off and yelling stuff, and then this guy crashes through the roof on the bed of like this one guy and this woman naked on the bed, and just like they fly out. The Nazis are trying to storm him. It's a wild film. The ending is just I don't even know what what they were trying to say with that, but it also has him having to do the stunt on this bridge, and he also falls in love with a woman who then don't want to get in spoilers, but he does some stuff for her, and it's just. Have you ever heard or seen this film?
I have heard of it. I know of it, but I've never actually seen it. I believe it was directed by Richard Rush. Is that
Yep,
correct?
Rush. Yep.
He directed a movie called Psych Out that I have seen with a very young Jack Nicholson about them like tripping on acid.
Mhm.
He also directed a movie called Getting Straight that I think is very, very, very good 5-star movie.
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
familiar with him as a director that much. I think it was like my first film I saw of his.
Yeah, I think The Stuntman is like his most well-known film, I think, in a
Mhm.
way. I think this movie, especially, like Fall Guy, is definitely given it like a second life as well. But yeah,
Mhm.
I gotta see it. I know you didn't love it. I know some people it can be pretty divisive, but I gotta see it.
Yeah, I didn't love it, but I'm still like very thankful I watched it. It's definitely like a film that still stuck with me, especially like those scenes, and it has some themes from Challengers as well, in a way, regarding that woman. To not get into spoilers, but
Okay.
yeah, it's a very wild film, and I'm glad I watched it. It's just and like I said, a poster, absolutely incredible, and it doesn't really, I mean, doesn't explain the film, but it gives you like a good feeling. It's
Yeah.
just a good poster. But yeah, that's that's my pick.
Okay. My third pick is an interesting entry, I think, in this that may be a little niche, but I think some people might know of. And that's the movie from 2000. And I'll explain it. A movie from 2000 called The Extreme Adventures of Super Dave. Dino, are you familiar with Super Dave at all? Super Dave Osborne?
I am not.
Okay. So, for those who watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, you would recognize Bob Einstein, who is in Curb Your Enthusiasm as shit. I'm blanking on his fucking name. What's I don't know why I'm blanking on his name right now. Funkhauser, Marty Funkhauser. But he really kind of got popular by playing this character named Super Dave. Now, he also might be best known by being brothers with someone from, talk about coincidences, someone who was in the movie Drive that we saw. Albert Brooks is his
Hmm,
brother.
okay.
Um, and now, if you're putting things together, I said Albert Brooks, but his name is Bob Einstein. If you were unaware, Albert Brooks's real birth name is Albert Einstein,
So yeah, it changed.
and he changed it. Their dad was a hilarious comedian from way back in the day. And doing the funniest thing that he could think of, he literally
Oh,
named his child Albert Einstein. Um,
amazing,
and
amazing.
uh, and there's a lot of lore to it. His name was Harry Park. His dad, Harry Einstein, I guess. I don't know. I think went by Harry Park, but he he actually did a roast of Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz, and it was like a big deal. He was coming out of retirement, this like really well respected comedian, coming out of retirement, and he's gonna come out and he's gonna do this great roast. And he goes up to like the podium or whatever, and he just absolutely kills it, just roasts them. It's amazing. They love it. And he goes back and he sits down on his chair and he dies right there on the chair. He finishes the roast, sits down on the chair, dies on national television on the chair, just ceases to exist. Literally just fucking passes away when he sits back down on the chair. Just a comedy, like he was old, he was like not doing well, but he came
Oh,
out of retirement to do this, absolutely gave it his all and fucking killed it, and then sat down and just died, which is the most baller way to go out maybe ever. Um, and his sons were Albert Brooks and this guy, Super Dave Osborne, aka Bob Einstein. Um, Now, Super Dave, now that I've given a little background, Super Dave was a character that Bob Einstein created where he was like essentially a spoof on Evil Knievel. He was this stunt guy who would always go on TV and he would go and he's like, all right, today I'm going to do this stunt. I'm going to jump off the CN tower. I'm going to get shot out of this cannonball. I'm going to I'm going to do this thing in this drive through. We have this like obstacle course and all these things. But the funny thing is that every single time he does these stunts, they always go wrong. So like he does this like drive through whole stunt thing where he has like an obstacle course of people doing like to make the most efficient like drive through ever. And then when he's there like sitting there to like hand the food like through the window, the car just like comes through the fucking restaurant and like kills him.
uh-huh.
Like he'll bungee jump off something and the thing will just like snap and send him off in the air. But it's super funny because it's very obvious that it cuts to like a dummy. Like for a split second before it cuts to a dummy, and they do it intentionally. And you
I
just
think
tell
I've
and
seen
it'll
clips of this.
yeah, it is so fucking funny. Super Dave is just a legend, and again, he's maybe most known for being on Curb as Funkhauser. Just a comedy god, and I just want to shout him out in general because I feel like there's no way that this Colt Seavers character would not look at Super Dave and be like, Super Dave is the shit. Um, but I've never seen this movie though. The Extreme Adventures of Super Dave. Uh, but it was just my gateway into showing love to Super Dave. But
Oh,
there is a movie, I guess, where he comes out of retirement to make money for like his new girlfriend needs like some kind of surgery or something. So he goes and does all these stunts. But I'm just kind of using that as the vehicle for Super Dave in general because his show that he had on TV was very, very funny. And all the stunts are all on YouTube pretty much, and they're all hilarious. And I think the movie itself is actually on Tubi to watch as well. So I'll for sure watch the movie also. But yeah, Super Dave fucking rules.
that's amazing. I love your pick and thank you for introducing me because I'm definitely like after this episode, I'm definitely gonna search up those. I think I've seen clips of it for sure, like just by being online
You might
back in the
have,
day.
yeah.
But I'll definitely like search up and watch these. Wasn't he? Maybe I'm like confusing him, but wasn't he on Simpsons? Wasn't there like also? I kind of vaguely remember there being like a stunt guy with Homer, I think, gets shot out of a cannon. And like there was this
Uh
stunt guy. I thought maybe they
oh,
might have been like,
Lance Murdoch in The Simpsons was the stunt devil who broke every bone in his body while doing
yeah,
stunts. Yeah,
but
different guy.
different.
Yeah,
Like, and I thought maybe because I know the Simpsons oftentimes have these like pop culture references that I didn't know about. Okay, but that's just a great. I'm glad you just explained that because just insane. Even like the
yeah,
background information with his dad, I was speechless when you said like just him. I cannot believe that it actually happened. Like on live TV, that
yeah.
he just sat
He just
down and
died.
just died right there.
Yeah, just passed away. Yeah,
Like there weren't any signs of him like struggling or anything. He just like sat down and that was it.
yeah. No, he literally he just snapped Harry Einstein, and he was young. Like I mean, he was like 50 something years old, 55, I think. But he was
Oh,
like
he
in
was.
poor. He was like in poor health. But
Oh,
um Yeah, I don't know exactly what happened. Maybe he had a heart attack or something, but he just like
Mm,
silently died on stage,
damn,
in his chair. So,
that's bad,
well,
but
actually, I shouldn't say silently. I don't know how silently. If he had a heart attack, I'm sure
yeah,
some people maybe saw.
that's
Um,
crazy.
but yeah,
I'll
um,
definitely watch. I'll definitely look more up like that more up on YouTube and watch those clips. That's
yeah. Look up
insane.
Bob Einstein in general. If you don't watch Curb Your Enthusiasm, he's like the best supporting, one of the best supporting characters on there is Marty
Mhm.
Funkhauser. Yeah, great dude all
Is
around.
he like the best friend of
He's
him?
no, so on Curb, he is
Yeah,
one of the friends. But like Richard Lewis was more so like Larry's best friend in there, and then Jeff Garlin, who is very well known,
uh-huh.
is like his agent, who is kind of like his actual like sidekick or right hand
Yeah.
man,
I've seen like
in
a
it. But
couple of episodes. I've seen an
yeah,
episode with like with the pants where it looked like he has a boner because of
yes,
like
yeah,
playing
yeah,
like
yeah.
that whole deal with like that's a great show. I think didn't the last season
It
release?
just concluded this year. Yeah,
Okay, I need to watch that because I know it's like a very big thing over there and it's very
yeah.
influential.
Oh
And the
yeah.
stuff I've seen, like it was super funny. So
It's
very
hilarious.
very
It's
funny.
one of
Yeah,
the funniest shows ever. Highly recommend. But anyway, what's your fourth pick for the day?
great pick. So my fourth pick is actually I know that you absolutely love this film. And that is a
Oh,
film, Night Moves,
oh
which is
fuck
like
yeah!
my last one. I know because you recommended this film so many times to me. It has been on my. It was one of the first like films on my Letterboxd watch list back in the day when I first created it,
Really?
like 7 years ago, whenever that was. And I never got around to watch it, but I wanted for this film, so I bought it. And it's directed by Arthur Penn, and
The
starring Keith.
goat.
Yep,
Hmm.
and it's. I thought it was like a. It fit very well with this one because it's about this private investigator who lives in Hollywood, and there's this retired B-list or like D-list even actress, and her daughter goes missing. So he has to find her and leads him down to your state, Florida. I want to say country, your state,
Hmm.
Florida, where he has to find this girl. And it also leads him through the world of the stunt people, without going too much. But it's just like a very great neo noir detective film, very stylish, one of like the greatest Florida films I've seen yet. It's incredible, and I just thought it was a great pick with like the missing person leading through the world of stunt people. I just thought like Ryan Gosling's character would definitely watch this and be like, after the fact, like I was like that guy trying to find this
Yeah.
missing person. So yeah, just such a great film, and I'm so glad I finally watched it. But I want to hear you talk about it because I know how much you love this film, and I just want to hear you talk about it.
Yeah, I love this movie. It's I mean, not only is it just like a great like story and just like an all around incredible script, but it's also like pretty funny as well. Like I find myself like laughing a lot. He has a great line in there where his wife asked him like, "Oh, do you want to go to the movies? They're showing a a film." He's like, "I saw a Romer film once. It was kind of like watching paint dry." Uh, it's a great line, but it is I mean, really one of the all time great movies. And it's funny because it's one of those that like the first time I saw it, I'm like, this is good. Like it's good, but it didn't hit me the way that I really wanted it to. And then I
Mm-hmm.
watched it a second time and I liked it a little bit better, but didn't quite hit me the way I wanted to. And then I watched it this third time and I'm like, this is one of the best scripts of the whole fucking new Hollywood era. It's incredible. Um, and the way that Florida is and I love that you said, because I do consider this to be like one of the top 3 or 5 best Florida films ever. Even though when you actually look back and analyze, maybe only 40 to 50% of it actually takes place in Florida, but its influence is so impactful throughout.
Oh
Like once he goes to the Keys for the first time and he
yeah. Hmm.
returns back to LA or wherever, you still feel the Keys presence over.
Yep.
Um, and it's just, yeah, it's a fantastic movie, man. I'm so glad you saw it. I love it. A great cast as well.
And that ending, like it actually hit me the first time I watched it, and I can see it like getting even better with time. But
Hmm.
that ending is just like one of the most insane movie endings I've seen. Like I could not believe that they ended the film like that. And it's just, dude. And a
Hmm.
beautifully shot as well. Like I just think it's
Oh yeah,
absolutely incredible. I'm so glad I finally watched it. One of the best neo-noir films, for sure.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's an incredible film. I'm so glad you watched it.
Yeah. Okay, what's your
Uh,
last one?
so my last one's just going to be a bit of a fun one here, I suppose. This is a movie I saw somewhat recently, and it's starring our guy who should have been the star of The Fall Guy.
Hmm.
Uh, and this may not even be the best stunt film of our boy TC. No Tristan Chandra, Tom Cruise. Um, but I'm going with a movie he did in 2010 by James Mangold called Night and Day. Have you seen this movie?
I've seen I've seen it, but I haven't seen it properly. Like I've seen it
Okay.
on TV when I was little, and I don't think I watched the full thing. But I'm
Okay.
very much aware, and I know a couple scenes, but I've never like fully watched the whole thing.
Okay.
I don't remember a lot.
Yeah, it's him and Cameron Diaz. They're like a couple that goes like on the run, and the actual plot itself again is like I don't really remember or know because it's pretty inconsequential. But
Hmm.
there are there are some good stunts throughout. But ultimately, the reason I think I mainly picked it is because Tom Cruise, he does play a bit of a different character in this than he does in the other Tom Cruise action films of the 2010s and 2020s.
Hmm.
Because, and I actually think it's pretty underrated because he actually shows like he's not aloof. He's still very competent as this like agent or whatever. I don't think he's a CIA agent. He's maybe just a fugitive. Again, it's all murky and it doesn't really matter.
Yep.
But he is kind of like he's like very in love with this Cameron Diaz character, and he's goofy and he's not perfect and this like badass serious like he is in Mission Impossible. But it's super fun, and the dynamic between the two of them kind of reminds me a little bit of the Ryan Gosling Emily Blunt dynamic a little bit. And yeah, that's the reason I picked it. It was it's it's not this great piece of cinema or whatever, but it's great solid entertainment and a very underrated I think Tom Cruise performance if I do say so myself.
And for that time as well, like just a fun summer blockbuster, I'm pretty sure it
Yeah,
was. So I'm glad you
exactly.
picked another like just good summer blockbuster, fun action film. I'm glad you picked that one. It's actually I have to like actually sit down and rewatch it, like
It's
watch it for the
solid.
first time. Yeah, I remember it, like just being fun from the scenes I saw, and entertaining. So and it's Tom Cruise, so we'll watch it anyway soon. So
Yeah. That's all we can
yeah,
really ask of it, right?
yep,
All
absolutely.
right. Well, should we go ahead and list out our four films to close it out?
Mhm. You want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. My four films were The Killer Elite from 75, Double Team from 97, The Extreme Adventures of Super Dave from 2000, and Night and Day from 2010.
And mine were Hooper, The Stuntman, The Last Movie, and Night Moves.
Solid. You killed it. Your four are absolutely unbelievable. Maybe
Actually,
your
like
best
I
four out so far.
thank you. There was definitely like a lot of films that I know you like, and like I said, I took my time with this list because I wanted to prepare myself for the Fall Guy.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to like I looked at just Google like stuntman film. I wanted to watch so many more. I have a couple more on my list that I didn't get to see it either because they weren't available. I didn't have time. For example, the Chinese Stuntman, which is a film by Bruce Lee. I think he directed it. I'm not
Interesting.
sure if it was his first film. That's a film I wanted to. Then Stunt Rock, which I know. I
Oh,
think
yeah, yeah, yeah.
David Leitch said it's one of the influence, but I didn't get to watch those. But I watched still like a lot of great stuntman films. So maybe that's
Yeah,
why the Fall Guy just didn't shine as much in comparison to these just absolutely
I think
banger
so.
films. Yeah.
I think so. And I would like to shout out Hard Target again one more time because there are great stunts in that, but we've talked about it so many times on this pod
Mhm.
that I
Always
didn't
good to
think it was
shout it
worth
out.
mentioning. Yeah. But yeah, great episode. Next week's ep is going to be a bit different. Uh,
Not even next week. I think if you're listening to, I'm gonna try to get this episode out by tomorrow, and
Okay.
then the
So then I
special
guess
one
just the next
Tuesday.
episode in general
Yep.
will be a little different. You know, we are big ape boys over here. So we're going to be doing a little review on the new Planet of the Apes and Planet of the Apes in general. Maybe doing a full ranking, should we, of all the Planet of the Apes films that have ever been released, all of them.
I have mine ready, just waiting for this new one, which I'm seeing in just around like 4 hours, 3 hours. Seeing the
Let's
new one. I
go.
know you saw it already. Do you
Saw
want
it
to give a
last
little
night.
teaser?
No, I'm going to let you just go in completely
Okay.
blind. I'm not going to say anything. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not going to say
Okay.
anything.
I'm very
Um,
excited, and I have my rankings so far. So I'm
I'm
just
going to work
this
on
one.
my
Good
rankings
for.
today. Yeah, I'm going to work on
Okay.
my rankings today. But yeah, we'll be back with a good special Planet of the Apes episode. We'll record it
Yeah.
tomorrow, but we'll be out in a few days from now from when you hear. And then we'll be back to our regularly scheduled Gosling program. I believe the next film in our list is All Good Things.
Which I found where I can watch the documentary
Oh, you did?
things.
Yeah.
I found out where I can watch it, and I'll definitely watch it before we record it. So
Yeah, if you can, that'd be sick.
yeah, just like not the new one, not the second season, I
The
guess.
original. Yeah, you got to see the original, James.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the original I found where it's streaming, so I'll watch it.
Perfect. All right.
I
Well,
can't
thanks for
wait.
listening, folks. We'll see you guys next time. And yeah, talk to you later.
Bye bye.